Original.
Hello and welcome to Web Crawlers, the podcast where we do a deep dive into some of our... Sorry. I don't know what just happened to me. Okay, take two. Hello and welcome to Web Crawlers, a podcast where we do a deep dive into some of our favorite mysteries. Each week we will introduce our topic, lay out our research and findings, reveal some conspiracy theories, and conclude with our own hypothesis. I'm Allie Siegel.
I'm Melissa Stetton.
And where's Maria? Melissa, who are our patrons for today?
We have Jessica, Cleo.
Ooh, Miss Cleo.
And Chris.
Miss Cleo, Chris, and Jessica, welcome to
Jessica
the
Simpson.
team. Jessica Simpson, yes. And Chris Kirkpatrick from
Wow,
NSYNC.
it's a 90s boy band,
yes.
girls singer.
Fiesta.
Cool. What is today's episode?
Listen, I'm going to say that it piqued my interest because of the name.
Oh, sure.
As I think it
Me
piqued
too.
yours as well. Today's episode is about the tube sock killings,
Oh, no.
also known as the Mineral Washington murders, which is a series of unsolved murders.
I've never heard of this.
I know, that occurred in Mineral Washington in 1985.
Ooh, wasn't me because I was 1 year old.
And I wasn't even born yet, so I've got an alibi.
I mean, I wasn't born yet. Either. I was born in the 90s.
Is this serial killer still at large? Let's get into it. So now there's a first killing, and it may or may not be related. So on Saturday, March 9th, 1985, there's a couple that wants to get away for the weekend. Their plan is to, their names are Edward and Kimberly. Their plan was to travel 3 hours away to Grant County, Washington. All these things occur in the Washington area. It's unknown what happens during their trip, but on the following afternoon, the dead body of Edward Smith is found in a gravel pit near the Wanapum Dam.
Uh-oh.
Edward's wallet and any form of ID are not found. His hands are bound behind his back, and his throat has been slashed.
Was it the wife?
Kimberly's nowhere to be found.
Uh-oh.
On March 11th, 1985, Edward and Kimberly's employers call the sheriff's department because they didn't arrive at work that morning, and they aren't picking up their phone. And this is strange because they always come into work or at least pick up their telephone. Missing persons investigation begins. Nothing comes up until 2 weeks later when their vehicle is found abandoned. 10 miles away from where Edward's body has been located. The car and the body of Edward match descriptions of the employers and the family members, so they know that they have found Edward and they have found the car. But they have still not found Kimberly, so they're on high alert trying to find Kimberly.
Where's this bitch?
Where's she at? They're thinking she's dead. They're not thinking she's a suspect,
Right,
much like
okay.
you, Melissa. So
She did it.
she did it. 5 months later, in August, though, unfortunately, Kimberly's remains are found
Oh,
2
shit.
miles away from where Edward was found.
Huh.
Now, 4 years later, in 1989, the single fingerprint that had been found on Edward's car, the police had found one fingerprint.
Just one?
Yeah, ended up matching a truck driver named Billy Ray Ballard Jr.
That's a killer name. Billy Ray Ballard Jr.?
Anytime you have 3 names in a junior,
And a
it's
junior.
like you're up to no good. Sorry. Yeah. He had actually already been serving time on a separate charge in Wyoming State Penitentiary. So they obviously go talk to Billy Ray Ballard Jr. and they say, we found your fingerprint in accordance with another crime to people who are deceased. Like, did you do it? He pleads guilty to the crime.
So that's the end of story.
End of story, right? So as you notice, there's no tube sock involved in this murder. And someone fessed up to the crime who was already in jail.
I'm assuming he went to jail after they were murdered, so he was not in jail.
He was not in jail at the time. Yes, yeah. Whatever, I did it, sure. But however, more murders in this area continue to occur. So they're wondering, like, was it really him or did We don't really know.
Because he was in jail.
Right. Murder 1 is Stephen Harkins and Ruth Cooper. Number 1 of the for sure tube sock killings. Mm-hmm. In August 1985, 27-year-old Stephen Harkins and his 42-year-old girlfriend, Ruth Cooper, they're employees at a vocational school, and they decide to, with their dog, go for a weekend camping trip.
Stephen Harkins is what someone from the South calls Stephen Hawking. Stephen Harkins.
Stephen Harkins. It's important to note, or maybe not important to note, that both of the couples who were killed in these murders had large age gaps.
Oh.
I personally don't think it's important.
Yeah,
but one of the theories later on is that this is a serial killer who targets couples who have large age gaps.
I mean, something needs to happen to these couples.
Yeah, this is a problem. This has got to stop now,
especially in Hollywood.
Yeah, but I mean, that seems so specific unless there's some childhood thing of
there could be.
But it is a similarity between both the couples that there's a large age gap. All right, so they go with their dog for a weekend camping trip. They had planned to be home by Sunday, but then just like the first couple, they did not show up for their job on Monday, and their family members are concerned, their employees are concerned. 4 days later, on August 14th, some hikers are strolling through the forest and they come upon the body of Stephen Harkins. And this is why you should never go hiking. This is why I don't hike.
Yeah,
you're
gonna get murdered. Chances are
you're going to find a body. He was found in his sleeping bag and murdered with a single gunshot wound to the head. And it looks like he did not struggle or anything. It looks like he was killed in his sleep.
Oh, God.
Even worse, his dog was discovered nearby, also shot and killed.
Just let the pets run free.
Let them run away, yeah. Similar, it's not like they can say who did it. You know what I mean? Like, just...
Right.
Anyways,
that's just evil.
Yeah. Similar to the first murder, his wife, Ruth Cooper, she was unable to be located.
Uh-oh.
So there are some similarities to the first crime that make you be like,
maybe kills the man and then kidnaps the woman.
2 months later, in October of 1985, though, a purse, a dismembered skull, skeletal remains were found, all belonging to Ruth because they did the dental records. And the weirdest part, there was a tube sock wrapped around her neck. However, though, the cause of death was not strangulation because the cause of death was a gunshot to her abdomen.
Oh, so that's weird.
The tube sock was an after-the-fact thing.
That's what you do when you want someone to know that it was you.
Yes. So I was thinking in all these murders, I'm like, he does a tube sock only to the women.
Weird. Oh, yeah, not the men.
Not the men. So I didn't know if it was a fetish thing.
Oh, yeah.
Control thing. I don't know if it was something from his past. Did his mom put a tube sock in his mouth when he was being loud or something? So then it's just interesting because he's not killing them with the tube sock. It's a after the fact thing.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So murder 2, that ain't right, is Mike Reamer and Diana Robertson and their daughter. The daughter's the strangest. The daughter is not killed, and it's a strange part of this. So nearly 2 months later, on December 12th, 1985, 36-year-old Mike Reamer and his 21-year-old girlfriend, Diana.
Sugar daddy.
Yeah. And their 2-year-old daughter, Crystal, they go in their pickup truck early morning and they go to, again, the same area in Washington to go find a Christmas tree in the woods.
That's fun.
Also, yeah, I've never done that before. That's
You haven't?
No, I've never done that
fun.
before. They also, Mike is a hunter or a trapper. So he sets up traps in the woods. And so they are also going to check on the traps. Unfortunately, days later, they go and they find the body of Diana again with a tube sock around her neck.
So they found her first.
Yeah, they find her first. They do not find Mike at this point at all. Here's how they come across even going to the scene. The weirdest part of this is that Crystal, their daughter, a few days after their camping trip, is found hundreds of miles away at a Kmart.
What?
Lost, and she's 2 years old. She's lost and essentially in shock, and she's unable to speak, and she's wandering around the Kmart.
Oh, well, obviously the dude dropped her off there.
Yes. So when Kmart workers ask her where her parents are, she's unable to tell them. She's essentially
she's 2.
Yeah, she's 2, and she's essentially comatose. She's given over to the authorities, and she's put in temporary foster care because they don't. It's not like she has ID on her. They don't.
Oh, right.
They don't know who this girl is. And, it's on the news and in the newspapers, girl found at Kmart. And then her biological grandmother sees her on television.
Oh, Jesus.
And she's like, oh my God, that's Crystal. What's going on? So the grandmother immediately calls Mike and Diana, and she doesn't get an answer because obviously Mike and Diana are dead. So the cops tell the grandmother, then the grandmother calls the cops, and the cops are like, we found this girl wandering around Kmart. What? Come pick her up. We don't understand what's going on. So the grandmother comes, flies in, picks her up, and she's like, Crystal, honey, with the cops, they're hoping that Crystal will talk to her grandmother.
Yeah.
And so she's like, Crystal, honey, what happened? Where's your mom and dad? And all the girl says is, mommy is in the trees.
Oh.
Yeah, she says over and over again, mommy is in the trees.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So from there, the cops are like, we need to figure out what's going on. And they discern eventually that, they learn from the grandmother that Mike has traps in this certain area and that they would go up there commonly. So maybe they could be up there. Who knows? So the cops go to the area where they were with bloodhounds, and they find these bodies. Mike has vanished without a trace. They find the truck. They examine the truck, and they find blood stains all across the front seat.
Oh, God.
And a handwritten note that says, I love you, Diana.
What?
Yeah. And so at this point, they have Diana's body with a tube sock wrapped around the neck. And they have this weird note that says, "I love you, Diana," and Mike is missing.
Is it from Mike or is it from...
They think it's from Mike, but they couldn't do a perfect handwriting
weird.
analysis. So at this point, they're like, we think Mike is the suspect.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't find Mike's body.
They don't find Mike. Mike's
It's
just
Mike.
disappeared.
Mike did it.
Mike did it. So Mike starts to be the prime suspect. He unfortunately has a history of domestic violence. He has physically assaulted Diana before. He's been arrested for assaulting Diana. Diana at one point did a restraining order against him, but they did reconcile. Also, Mike was a trapper and he did lay a lot of traps in the area. So is it possible that the other couple was camping where he had laid traps and Mike was like, "You're infringing on my property," even though it wasn't really literally his property, like, "Get off of here," or something. And then he ended up killing him. There were reasons that people think that he could be a suspect. Let's take a quick break for announcements. Webcrawlers has a Patreon. To get access to episodes, shout outs, merchandise discounts, please go to patreon.com/webcrawlers. You can donate as little as $2 a month. For the months of May and June, we will be donating all of the sales from our merch to Everytown for gun safety.
Yeah.
You can buy our merch at webcrawlerspod.com or hothorse.horse if you are nasty.
We're already at like $250 so far.
That is so awesome. So at the end of June, we will post how much we have earned in total, and we will donate that. So thank you guys so much for your efforts.
Also on the Patreon, there's a discount code for all you bimbos.
Yes. So if you are a patron, you can get a discount as well. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And if you give us a 5-star review, we will, of course, read it on the podcast. Also, Erios has a hotline. Insert jingle here.
626-604-6262. Erios.
Continue to call us, and especially you first-time callers. Call, join the Discord, make friends. It is such an amazing web crawlers community that we have. We're so grateful for you guys. Now, back to our program. However, in March of 2011...
2011?
Yes, recently, there is a breakthrough. So
years?
All this time, Mike is considered the prime suspect.
But he's been missing.
And he's been missing. So they think he's like on the run. He has experience outdoors. So they're like,
oh, yeah.
Maybe he's been living outdoors this whole time. Maybe he fled the country. We don't know. But then some hikers in March of 2011 find a skull, a partial skull, near where Diana's body was found. And they do DNA testing, and it's Mike's skull.
Well, I wonder if they could tell how long the skull's been there.
Well, that's a good question, because people wonder, like, was it a murder-suicide?
Right.
So did he murder Diana? And the issue with that, though, is he would have had to murder Diana, then drive Crystal to a Kmart, and then drive back and then kill himself.
Yeah.
Or, like, did he kill both the couples and then, like, live in the woods from 1985 to 2011 and then go back? And, I mean, it seems unlikely.
Yeah,
the most likely case, is that he was murdered and they didn't find the body until 2011.
Damn.
Yeah. So the theory that Mike is the killer was kind of debunked.
Right.
Although it's not fully improbable.
Right.
Most likely the serial killer, people think, is still at large. And there's actually a fair amount of serial killers in Washington in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So first one is Robert Lee Yates Jr. And he was active from 1975 to 1998. And he was known to have murdered at least 11 women in Spokane, as well as 2 murders in Walla Walla, a murder in Skagit County, Pierce County. I mean, who's to say
Right.
he didn't get around to more places?
Huh.
He killed allegedly mostly sex workers.
Oh.
And from what I know about serial killers, they tend to stick to, I think, one
Yep. From what I know of
niche.
serial
From what I
killers.
know
From
of
all the
serial killers
that I know personally.
From I know personally. But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe, I mean,
Well,
you
who
have
knows?
I mean, a lot of serial killers start with animals. I don't know, like maybe he was testing
Right.
out the waters, see what his vibe was. I mean, I don't know. Then there was also Gary Ridgway, I think it's Ridgway, the Green River Killer.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And that was in Washington, right?
Yeah, that was also in Washington during the 1980s and 1990s, killed mostly teenage girls and women. But if his target was the women and they happened to be with men at the time, I imagine that he would have killed the men too.
Right. Kill the men first and then kill the women. Dang.
So it's possible that it could have been one of these men.
That's so weird. But there were 2 women found with tube socks around their neck.
Yes, but neither of these other serial killers, neither Robert Lee Yates nor Gary Ridgway.
Yeah, why would they just be like,
Use
I'm going to
socks.
put a tube sock around these 2 random people?
Yeah, and then I Googled killing someone with a tube sock, and like I
Does
immediately
that work?
I immediately closed the tab because I was like, I don't want this on my history.
Dear Google, can you kill someone?
I mean, at first I was thinking like autoerotic asphyxiation,
Right.
but that goes the opposite way.
Oh.
I mean, there's a lot of, I just Googled tube sock fetish, and there's a lot of on like Pornhub.
Oh,
so,
sure.
I mean, that could be like, it didn't say anything about whether or not these women were sexually assaulted. I don't know if in the 80s,
right.
if they had, let's see, rape kit. Oh, so the rape kits were for the 1970s. It didn't say whether or not they were sexually assaulted, but the fact that it didn't say that makes me think that they were not.
Yeah, that would be odd to like kill the man first and then just like take the woman to another area just to kill her. Like you would assume it's like sexual assault.
Right.
That weird I love you Diana note makes me think.
See, and they
maybe it
think
was
that
one of her
that's just
stalkers.
Yeah, they also think though that could just be a note
from-
between Mike and
right.
Diana that they just like keep around. Like I have a scrapbook, or not a scrapbook, but a box of things from boyfriends or partners that I just
You didn't immediately burn them?
no, I don't. I don't immediately burn them.
I
But
still
maybe
have a
that's
bunch
just,
of stuff too.
just something like that they kept nice on the. I actually like it's really creepy. I went to Vegas with my boyfriend and I kept like the room key.
Oh yeah, I have weird stuff like that.
I was like, this is for my files, and he was like, what?
Don't worry about it.
Don't you worry about it.
Filing it under V for Vegas.
Yeah, and I need some of your hair. Yeah, so they don't. I mean, it could have been strangulation as part of it, because I think that most serial killers who kill women, there's some sort of sexual component, from what I understand.
You would
so
assume,
maybe the strangulation and the tube sock was some sort of sexual release, but he also stabbed or shot them in an act of like rage or like but it still baffles authorities, and it's still an open case that they just don't know who did it or what exactly happened or why. I don't know where Crystal is.
Oh, yeah, because she would be like our age.
Yeah.
If she was like 2 in the 80s.
Okay, that's not her.
I mean, she'd be way older than us.
Yeah, we're very young.
I mean, it for sure could have been Mike, who like didn't want to kill his daughter, so like just drove her 200 miles away just to make it. I mean, I guess that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible that it
And
was
then drove
Mike.
back to the area of the woods where he is like sets traps and knows well, and is like, well, I'm just going to hang out here for a while, and then
and then killed himself after like waited for the police to search the area so that he couldn't have, and then killed himself or something.
Was there anything else in that note, or just said, I love you, Diana?
It just said, I love you, Diana. And the blood in the car was weird because that suggests that someone...
Oh, and it was only their blood. It wasn't the killer's blood.
Yeah. I wonder if...
Well, that's weird.
I don't have Facebook. Is there a Crystal Robertson in like Washington? She probably would have moved from Washington.
Crystal Louise Robertson. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of Crystal Robertson.
Yeah, it's a pretty popular name.
And she could probably change her name or anything. Something.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, who knows? If you guys have any theories on this, please let us know. Weird case. Melissa, if people want to give us their takes, where can they reach us?
You can email us at webcrawlerspod@gmail.com or call us at 626-604-6262.
All right. Well, I'm Allie Siegel.
I'm Melissa Stettin.
And that's all, folks.
That's
Bye.
all, folks. Bye.
An Erios original.
Powered by Acast.